Welcome back to Learn Astrology with Mary. My name's Mary English. You can find me at www.maryenglish.com, maryenglish.co.uk, and UK Astrology. And today we have a very nice guest. We've got Megan Knox-Davies. She's located in Ireland at the moment in Wicklow, but we've got a long story to hear about her journey to where she is now and how she got into astrology. So welcome, Megan. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's great to be here.
And it's Meg, not Megan, beg your pardon.
Yes.
You said earlier nobody calls you Megan unless they're telling you off. Yeah, we have.
Yes.
It's a funny thing, isn't it, when your parents tell you off, they always go your full name. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, Meg, how did you get into astrology to start with? What was the initial bump to get in there?
Well, I think it's probably like most astrologers reading your horoscopes, finding out that I'm an Aquarius sun,
Hmm.
really kind of like maybe this is meant to be an astrologer. Like my early memories of just kind of reading astrology when I was really young. But I actually kind of started with astrocartography first. A friend of mine told me about astrocartography when I had relocated here to Ireland.
Hmm.
So that was like nearly 10 years ago. And I did a reading for yeah, so I just moved to Ireland, and a friend of mine told me about astrocartography, and I had a reading for myself and for my basically my whole family, and realized like how accurate astrocartography was. So a little bit of a background to my background is
Yeah.
my mom is originally from Canada, and my dad is South African,
Hmm.
and they met kind of like by chance because my dad was visiting in Canada. And if that had meeting had not had happened, if he hadn't left South Africa, he would never have found her, and I would never have been created.
Mm.
And so I have this sort of lineage of travel in my family. My brother is the same. He met a Mauritian and is living in Mauritius, and now I find myself in Ireland. So my whole story kind of was about travel, and then I found out about astrocartography and kind of realized that you could really apply the natal chart to where people are called to or drawn to, and
Mm.
where sort of where they're destined to meet or be or live or thrive or learn lessons, whatever. And so yeah, so I did astrocartography first, and then I went back and did astrology. I don't recommend that because to
Wow,
be
that's
a
a
really
backwards way of doing it, isn't it?
Yes,
So,
to be a really good astrocartographer, you have to know astrology, the basics, and being able to read a natal chart is kind of essential in that. You don't want to be guiding everyone to their Jupiter line just, because Jupiter is about joy and abundance. I think you can really land yourself in a bit of hot water if you're kind of doing the generic principles of astrocartography without really understanding how the natal chart works. So yeah, so that's kind of how I became an
mm. So what was it about? So there you are. You get to Ireland, you get off the plane, you unpack your bags, and then somebody suggests a reading.
Yeah,
Say,
somebody,
go
yeah,
on.
she just kind of heard about astrocartography,
Ah, and
and
this was a friend, yes?
yeah, it was a friend of mine.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it kind of just spiraled into me getting a reading with this beautiful Scottish astrologer called Luna Fanula and Siobhan. And yeah, I just kind of asked her. Basically, that reading was like me just picking her brain about how did you learn this? How did you find out about
Mm.
this? Where can I study this?
Mm.
What books can I read? So yeah, I really kind of dove into it backwards with astrocartography
Well,
first.
that doesn't matter. You've got Mercury retrograde anyway. That's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not going to do
Yeah.
linear. I've got Mercury retrograde and in the worst sign possible. I've got it in Pisces. God help me. But there we go.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I did, and I think that Aries rising of mine is like I just kind of jump in first and figure it out.
Oh, really? Jump first, ask questions
You're
later.
like, oh, how did I
Mhm.
end up here? What am I doing? Yes, so yeah, that's kind of how it started, and it really has kind of just grown. Like I've grown so much as I've kind of uncovered more and realized that I will probably forever be studying astrology in some form. I'm always taking courses and learning more,
Mm.
and just kind of the more clients that I read for, the more I'm kind of building case studies and research on, oh, this happened to you on a particular line. That's interesting. Note that to, put that in the notebook.
Mm.
So yeah, it's been really fascinating. It's been such an understanding of myself, or a relearning of myself as well. Learning kind of why I do certain things, and why certain places have been amazing, and why some of them have been challenging. But yeah,
Mm.
when I moved to Ireland, I moved because my husband got a job offer.
Hmm.
He had recently gotten married, and he
He'd got
basically
married or you'd got married? I
we
thought you
had
said
recently
he. I
got
was thinking, how did that happen?
handless. No, we had just recently gotten married,
Yep.
and we had decided that we were young, and well, fairly young, and decided that we didn't have kids, and we just wanted the adventure. And he got offered a job here in Ireland.
So where were you
Um,
before Ireland?
we were living in Johannesburg, so
Wow, that's a big distance.
yeah, it is a big distance. Yeah,
Can you
no,
fly direct or have you got to go via the UK first?
think the way here we flew through Dubai. Like it's quite a long. It's like 8 hours to Dubai,
Hmm.
and then 8 hours odd to Ireland. So yeah, it was a bit of a long travel. We knew no one here. We had no family here. We we just kind of winged it a little bit.
What sign of the zodiac's your husband?
My husband's an Aries.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Aries,
All right, so they're quite brave. Oh, let's do it.
yeah, Aries
Mm.
Sun, Gemini rising, Libra moon. So yeah, yeah. I definitely think I instigated the move, and he kind of just he charged ahead. So
Mm.
yeah, but yeah,
So I
he's on.
presume that the job that he was offered was something he couldn't sort of turn down to make such a big geographic
Well,
journey.
yeah, I mean, I think so. It was a job offer with a relocation package, so that helped us to move.
Ah, yeah. Mhm.
And actually, at the time, he wanted to do the job. He works in he's a tax lawyer, so it's kind of
Mhm.
a bit boring. But yeah, he really loves that job, and he got offered a job, and an offer with a relocation package and everything, and we took it. And then he hated that job, so we didn't. The first year was a bit of a tumble. And yeah, we were really just trying to find our feet. But he's on his node ascendant line here in Ireland,
Mhm.
and I'm on the closest line that I'm on is a Juno midheaven, which really applies to me
Mm.
because I have Juno conjunct Neptune in Sagittarius in the ninth house. So I feel like this partnership of mine was always meant, we were always going to travel, or sort of travel more together.
Mm.
And that certainly has applied quite a bit since moving here. Um, yeah, focusing on
Because I
sort
mean,
of
your weather conditions are going to be so different in Ireland to South
so
Africa.
many people, every person that I've met. Because so originally, both my husband and I are from Durban, which is actually like a very warm part of South Africa. Like it doesn't get a winter.
Mm.
It's just hot and humid, or raining and humid. And yeah, it's kind of it's really mild winter. And so every person that we meet when we meet people in Ireland is like, why did you move here?
Why did you do it? Yeah.
Definitely not for the weather, but we've been having great weather now. So can't
Yeah,
complain.
everybody's been having it. We've had a flipping drought here.
Yeah.
It's really, really cold. Okay, so it is interesting about astrocartography as a subject. Anyway, we're going to get into more detail in a minute, but I'll
Yes.
just tell you my little story. So I relocated from London to Bath. My ex-husband had run off with another woman, had a little baby. I didn't want to be in London anywhere near his family. Not that horrible, but they're just a bit OTT.
Yes.
And moved here because I got a sister in Bristol and I'd visited Bath and we've got family history in Bath. So the English family came from Ireland to Bath in 1770 and my mother had done our family tree. It was really interesting. I thought, oh, well, I'll just move to Bath. Now that was very, very on the spot. I've got a fire sign ascendant as well. I looked online, saw a house, and I just said to the bloke that was selling it, the estate agents, save it for me. Wednesday's my day off. It's still my day off. I'll be down Wednesday. I want to look at it, and I'm probably going to buy it. Please don't let anybody else see it. So I looked at it. That's it. I'll have it. Didn't look at any other houses involved, and I don't know what it was. Anyway, a little while after I'd moved here, a friend of mine said, "Oh, have you ever done astrocartography? Um, have you ever looked at it?" And I went, "No." And so he suggested that I use the astro.com website and just have a look at my chart on there because I've got that AstroClick travel thing. So it does do you a proper chart. And there's a great big Pluto line goes through the UK, right? We're all the way through Reading, and it said on the blurb, this is just the blurb on astro.com, better on the western side of this line. So I'd been in London, which was the wrong side of the line. I'd lived in Switzerland, which again was still on the wrong side of this flipping Pluto line. I moved to the other side of it, and I'd already moved at this point. And it was then I realised, oh my goodness, astrocartography is the thing, because I was working in retailing in London, continued a little bit that when I got here, and then totally about face, trained to be a homeopath, did astrology, readings, the whole shebang, like totally self-employed, the thing. But if I hadn't moved here, that never would have happened. And I moved here obviously because it was the only place in the UK, it's the only line I've got is this Pluto one. So I was thinking there must be more to it than this, but I don't know an awful lot about it.
What
Other than, yeah,
angle was Pluto? What angle is it? AC, DC, MC, or RC?
I've got Pluto in my chart in the first house.
Okay,
hmm
okay.
And that's the only line that goes through the UK. There's
So
nothing
then,
else.
yeah, so that would be a Pluto ascendant line that you move to the west of. So that's very interesting because then that really kind of changes things just even slightly with your relocation chart. Maybe you have Pluto conjunct your ascendant and the move separates that conjunction in the relocated chart. So your rising sign and where Pluto is located in your relocated chart kind of just separates it a little bit, which
Mm.
gives you maybe some breathing room in terms of having Pluto in your
It was a
first.
complete life change. It like
Yeah.
totally was a lifetime. I got into astrology because my homeopath was taking my case because I'm trained to be a homeopath and I was a supervision. I went to see her about something, and she said, "Oh, that must have happened when you had a Saturn return." I thought, "What the bloody hell's a Saturn? This is my homeopath. What's a Saturn return?" So I was studying to be a homeopath, looked it up, and this that was it. I was off. I got a little computer program, and I was finding it fascinating. I'm still finding it fascinating
I
30 something
know.
years later. But it was the weirdest of things that I could have moved anywhere in the UK, but I've got a sister in Bristol, which is a little further west to where I am by
Yeah.
9 miles. But I came to Bath because they have the family history and all the rest of it, and everything totally changed. There's no way I would live anywhere else in the world other than
Mhm.
Bath. You're not getting me. You're gonna have to take me out in a box.
Amazing.
But I've got a fire sign ascendant, which is Leo, and my Pluto is Virgo, but it's a very, very late degree. So yeah, it was a really, really big thing for me. And
That's
I
so
know
interesting.
that, yeah. And when you get a personal experience of something, it really
Yeah,
makes a big difference.
yeah, yeah. I have so many. Yeah, I think I have quite. Yeah, Pluto is quite prominent in my chart as well. And I think that I'm kind of naturally drawn to Pluto people. So it's so interesting that you've got this Pluto experience on a Pluto line. The other thing that I wanted to add about astrocartography is everyone focuses on the angular lines. So AC, DC, MC, all of planets on a particular angle. But you should also look at, because you were born in the UK
Yeah.
and you is local space. So if you have a local space line running from your birth location to Bath, that could be also an interesting layer to
A
add
who?
to
What? Tell me about this. What's a local
local
space
space.
line? Tell
So
me
it's like
more.
compass astrology. So it's local space is basically taking the lines from your birth location and fanning them out. So that's really helpful for, like, if you're like, so if you really want to get into astrocartography and astromapping, local space is really good for like feng shui and figuring out like where do you walk the best, or where do you,
Mm.
so exercise, where do you shop, all of these things you can look at the compass, and looking at the local space lines and where they fan out can help you in terms of your local environment. So it's a little bit more granular, and it adds an extra layer. And often people, will find themselves moving on a particular line in a direction that kind of supports them better as well. So yeah, it could be, you've got a Venus line or a moon line that like runs to Bath, and that's why you feel called to go there
Mm.
as an extra layer. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is a super interesting thing, but to explain it to our listeners who are all beginner
Yeah.
astrologers, the majority, because it is it's about learning on this particular podcast.
Yeah.
The thing with astrocartography, what you do is you're superimposing your birth chart onto the Earth itself. Have I got that right? Dom, is that how?
Yes, it's basically it's calculating. So everyone gets born at, whatever time and in a particular location, and it's basically calculating where the planets were in the world.
Hmm.
So if this, if you were born at night, the sun was maybe rising somewhere further away from you, and the moon was maybe more prominent in your location, as an example. So you've got, the whole world, and it maps out the planets based on those, based on your location. So that's why time is really important, and location is incredibly important, because somebody that was born at the same time as you but in a different location would have a completely different rising sign and a completely different, makeup to their chart. And then the other thing that if you're born, because you've got it looks at your natal chart. So whatever planet is closest to an angle, it could be any angle in your chart.
And
That's
when you say
usually
angle, clarify what you mean by angle.
so ascendant would be an angle, descendant would be the opposite angle, midheaven or the IC.
Yeah. Hmm.
So if there's any planet close to any of those angles, then that it's very likely that you will have that line running closest to where you are born.
So
Um,
you've got Venus retrograde in Capricorn conjunct your MC.
yes, but the closest one is my Saturn. So I actually was born on a Saturn descendant.
Oh, yes, you are. Yes. Hmm. Oh, gosh, because it's the same degree as your ascendant, 22 degrees.
It's exact.
Oh,
Yeah.
my Lord. Wow. And you're born at a really specific time as well, 11:11. Like I looked at that, I
Yeah.
was thinking, oh, I bet you're into numerology as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, look, of course, if you're a maths person, you've got 22 degrees ascendant and however many minutes, and then your descendant is 22, but your Saturn's there, bomb. And
Yes.
and your Pluto's a few degrees away. So tell me about that Saturn one's like more strong or important because it's an exact one.
Yes, so that's the closest line that I have close to my birth location. So yeah, so I experienced quite a lot of Saturn experiences in my birth location, which kind of have like made me who I am in a certain way. But yeah, I suppose growing up, very protective parents, very traditional approach. I was like the first person in my family to get all the way to high school on my dad's side of the family. So it was a kind of like this incredible sense of duty and responsibility that kind of was work hard, work harder, don't give up, that kind of mentality. And yeah, I've got a nice, I've Saturn in Libra. So, it's all about relationships and partnerships and things like that. And yeah, I'm from that generation that has Pluto in Libra as well, and I have Mars in Libra, so I have like this
Mhm.
lovely combination, very close to my
Yeah, your
descendant.
poor little Mars in Libra. And it's opposite because you've got an Aries ascendant and then your ruling planet is in Libra, which is the opposite sign. It's like you're not going to like to fight.
No, confrontation is the worst for me. Genuinely, I
Mm.
actually think I break out into halves before I start
Mm.
doing that. Yeah, no, it's
Mm.
awful. So yeah, so I mean, it kind of makes sense why I never wanted to stay where I was born,
Mhm.
because of that Saturn descendant. But then I will say that it has given me a lot of good things. So I met my husband just after my Saturn return on my Saturn line. And well, we actually, technically, we met in a different location with a different line, but we started dating on my Saturn line. So we made that commitment to each other. I feel like that Saturn return then, well, it kicked Saturn into my seventh house straight afterwards. And yeah, I was ready for a commitment. So meeting my husband at the right time on that Saturn line. I think the more that I learn about Saturn and sort of the wisdom that comes with that and the age that I'm getting to and becoming a parent myself, you kind of realize there are certain things, certain challenges you have to kind of go through that makes you, you learn from them, even if they're hard. I don't know if I would move back to my Saturn line, even speaking nicely and kindly to it. I don't
Mm,
think it's I've found myself in better places and locations that help me thrive.
mm.
And that one
And so
was,
how many kiddies have you got?
I've only got one. Yeah, I've got one, and she's a Libra. So yeah,
Oh, bless. Oh, that's
yeah,
all compatible then. So your husband's, remind me again, he's an Aries, that's right. So
yes,
your daughter's a Libra and
yes.
you're an Aquarius. Oh, so it's all air and fire. Nice.
It's a lot of air and fire, yes. But she's a Virgo. She's a Virgo rising and a Virgo moon, so she brings a lot of earth into the dynamic as well.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll keep. Now you see, you're an Aquarius. I had an Aquarius mother. I've got two Aquarius sisters. My ex mother-in-law was Aquarius. My auntie was an Aquarius. I know all about Aquarius, and its ideas are the fuel that keeps an Aquarius to be a happy bunny. And you've got some Earth in your chart.
Yeah, being
Um,
a Capricorn.
you've got some Capricorn bits, yeah. Uh, one Capricorn bit.
Mm,
Yes, only one planet is the Earth, so you're a little bit low in the Earth side of things. But
yes,
it doesn't matter because you're living on Earth.
yes.
One
Thank
hopes.
God.
And you have got a very one-sided chart because I was looking at chakras and going, oh, I wonder if you're part of the indigo generation. You're born during it, so you could quite easily be an indigo with all those planets on one side. But you're a little bit earlier to the 1990s when Uranus and Neptune became conjunct. So those are like
Yes,
inverted commas, like they're the third generation, maybe we can call them the true generation of indigos, whatever you want to call it. But they come into the world with a sense of knowing, don't like to be told what to do, don't just want a job, they want a life purpose. Now, I need to ask you the question, since becoming an astrologer, how much has that added to your life purpose?
it's completely transformed me. Yeah, no, I think I always wanted to work for myself. I struggle, like I put a lot of energy into the work that I do, and I always found myself burning myself out. So in previous jobs and roles, I was just giving it all, and I was feeling kind of unsatisfied by the recognition or this, just getting where I wanted to get to. And yeah, and then I think I found this thing that I just like this little itch or craving that I had with astrocartography. And yeah, my husband said that when I talk about astrology, I talk in a different in a different way, and
Mm.
it's like my whole body lights up. So, and I think that that's true. It's just that I immediately found something that I was super passionate about, and it was like, again, also just something that, like, it's a thread that you can continuously pull and it'll never end. It's just always, there's always something there. So that just kind of always, keeps me interested, and keeps me
Yeah, no,
challenged.
I often wonder if astrologers ever get a sort of a dark night of the soul when they sort of realise that their birth time's wrong and their parents have given them the wrong time. And then, it does happen sometimes that people find out the chart they've been working for themselves or
Yes.
whatever is wrong, and then they get the real one. And does the real one sort of feel right? But I wonder whether or not astrologers do have dark night of soul and then sort of wake up one day and go, why am I doing this? This is all rubbish. Because I was challenged the other day by somebody who said to me, but astrology is only a belief system. And I went, yeah, and then if something is a belief system, even though it's based on astronomy, so there's astronomy involved in there, but astrology very much is a form of belief system. I personally think it's quite harmless
Yeah.
on the one end of it, and on the other side of it I think it's absolutely life changing when people start studying astrology and they learn about their own charts, and they learn they've got this in this sign and that in that house, and then it all goes aha moments, and then why didn't I get along with my parents, and you do synastry charts, and then
Yes.
there's even I had the biggest aha moment because I could never understand why I didn't get on with my mother. Oh, duh, I got a sun and moon square. Duh. And then
Yeah.
and my mother's moon sign was the same as mine, and her moon sign was the same sign as her mother's sun sign. So once I learned that, then the me not getting on with my mother went totally the other direction. It's like, well, now I understand. So you can't expect an
Yeah.
Aquarius to have five children and be happy about feeding them all the time. She wants to do things with them. So it made a big difference for me, and I find that with students when they're learning, they'll definitely at the beginning they're really really interested, but there'll always be that sort of, which you must have had, that aha moment. It was like, well, everything just falls into place now. This is why I am where I am. Did you have that?
Yes, I think so. And I think the other thing like about astrology that allows you this like self-acceptance or like a validation of your own lived experience that you can kind of like, oh, it's it's not just me, there was other things kind of guiding that. Definitely. I mean, I think you look at your chart first, then you like start looking at I was like really intrigued that like, I have an 8 degrees Aquarius sun and
Mm.
my husband's got an 8 degrees um Aries sun, and so it's like it's exact like
Wow.
yeah. So I mean, just having that synastry, 8 degrees, eight, and actually eight's my lucky number, so that really felt really in alignment. And then yeah, looking at my parents' charts and looking at sort of like aunts and uncles and grandmothers. Unfortunately, I don't have my mom's birth time.
Mm.
She's a middle child, and my grandmother's 99, and she doesn't even
Wow.
remember birth times at this stage in her life. Has no interest in it. Yeah, so I can't tell you exactly where, yeah, like what her rising sign would be.
Oh, but I don't think that matters. I think sometimes just finding out what sun signs people are and moon signs. When I did our family tree after my mother had done our family tree, and I did our astrological family tree, so
Yes,
she got all the data. Not that it's her family, because obviously it's my father's family. And I did all the chat. I wondered what's all this Sagittarius that, and they were Sagittarius Sun and Sagittarius, a lot of Catholics. So the
yes,
family was Catholic and blah 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 blah, and they were busily being bishops and God knows what else. But Sagittarius ran all the way through it, which hasn't come down to me. I've got no planets in Saggy, but I have two siblings that have moon in Saggy. My dad was a Saggy. And it was interesting sort of seeing that run through the family. Family trees are very interesting, but you don't even need to have the times.
yeah,
That the birth data, if you can get that, what date the one. So in your mother's case, not knowing her time, at least you'll know what moon sign your mother's got. Like, is
yeah.
she emotionally attuned to you? Because you yourself have got moon in Pisces. And what sun sign's your mum?
I can't. My mom's a Sagittarius sun. I can't remember what her moon sign is though. I need to check that. But
Yeah.
my dad's a Cancer sun, and my brother is a Virgo
Oh,
sun. So
wow,
we're
what a mix.
actually we hit all the elements, but I'm the only fixed sign, which I feel is like an
Mm.
oldest daughter vibe. Feels like.
Yeah, and I mean that's the other thing, where you are in the family tree. I'm in the center, so I'm the center child. So I've got two above, two below. But I think, being able to find your place when you're learning about astrology, because you do, like you say, you do yourself, then you do the people that are closest or closer to you, and then you can sort of work out from that partners. And I find it fascinating, the children. And when my son was born, his ascendant number is exactly the same degree as my sun sign. Now, I couldn't influence the birth at all because I was having a medically induced birth. So I was reliant on what time the doctors did stuff. And I wasn't that much into astrology at that point until after he was born. And then I did it all. It's like, oh, later on, oh my goodness, he was born at exactly the right moment. Totally different sun sign. So but the ascendant was exact 15 degrees and I'm 15 degrees. So like, whoops, what's the chances of that? So I think it's lovely to find your place. So tell me a bit about the origins of astrocartography. Who was it who started it?
So, look, there's lots of people have looked at relocated charts for a long time, but the term astrocartography was created by a guy named Jim Lewis in the so sort of like late 70s.
Mhm.
So
So
yeah, so
Jim was born or this was happening in what year
well,
was
he
this?
was, yeah, he created the term astrocartography in the sort of late 70s. And yeah, he was, kind of traveling around, living his lines. He wrote a book with Kenneth Irving, and he basically pioneered or he advanced the practice of relocation astrology and looked specifically at placing planets manipulating the relocated charts to place planets on different angles. So you're basically highlighting a planet. So if you have a really good working planet in your chart and it's unaspected in terms of angles, you could move to a location that highlights it. And it brings up a different experience for the person.
Mm.
But yeah, there was lots of people that then did he ran a certification program where you had to get tested to apply the techniques and the rules that he sort of laid out for astrocartography, which still is around today.
Mhm.
And many people, I would say, are fluent and professional astrocartographers, and we're writing books and doing things like Martin Davis, Ariel Gutman. Yeah, there was loads. I could probably name a load more, but yeah, there was a lot of really cool developments when it came to astrocartography in the sort of early 80s, late 70s.
Mm.
And yeah, now it's just kind of grown, and maybe TikTok has created a bit of a monster when it comes to the generic terms of the planets and not considering the aspects that those planets are making in your chart or sign that's in, and all of that sort of stuff.
So you've done more serious study in it. So you've done like the proper gym studying.
Yes, so I've done the exam that Jim Lewis set,
Mhm.
and sort of I'm one of, I think there's only 170 or odd people that have done that exam worldwide. So there's yeah, that I've done that course, and then Kepler College is sort of like, you know, has created their own astromapping thing where they've kind of brought on people like Ariel Gutman and Maya White and loads of different astrologers and astrocartographers that have been doing this practice for many years.
Mm.
And that's like a sort of 80 weeks of sort of intense study. So I've done that as well. And yeah, I would say that, like, I mean, there's loads of different ways to learn astrocartography. But like learning from people that have actually been doing it for 40 odd years, I think is quite a privilege. And while we still have them earthside, it's really, I think,
Mm.
so important to get that wisdom passed down to us younger
Yeah,
generations.
and I think it's important when you're learning something, there's only so far that you can teach yourself.
Yeah,
And then eventually you're going to have to consult an expert on something and learn a bit more, or learn at they could not so much the feet of someone else, but sort of learn from them.
yes,
Because yeah, you can teach. I'm self-taught astrologer. Um, but there's a limit to how much that you can learn with that. Eventually, you have to have some lessons somewhere or some sort of practice. I mean, I learned astrology and just threw myself into it. I just got a teeny little computer program, £10. It had everything on there. You could click right. This is a long time ago, 1990s. You could click on something and it'd give you the analysis of it. Great. So I just read that out to the client. They didn't mind. They were happy. I was happy. Everybody was happy. And I just sort of put those into sort of psychic readings back then was one that was part of. But then I joined the Astrological Association, and as my practice grew and my knowledge grew, then I started hanging around with other astrologers and stuff, and then I learned a load more. But I still continue just to do rather basic astrology. I've learned other little techniques and stuff, but I'm also trained as a therapist, so I've spent 20, 30 years helping people on the health front of things. But I think in the astrological world, there can be a bit of a thing about sun sign astrology versus natal astrology. There can be this, you've got a qualification, you haven't got a qualification. And I tend to sort of think, well, I don't want to take sides on those things. I do sun sign astrology. I think it's fabulous. That's the entry point for people to get into astrology, but not anymore, because you
yeah,
can go to any website now. There's millions of them. You can put your birth data in and ping some chart, whether or not it's a correct chart, it's a different matter altogether.
yes,
But astrology is such an all-encompassing thing. But what I do think is important, and I constantly say it on the podcast as well, is don't go into astrology without having a small diploma in counselling skills,
yeah,
because a lot of the times you're going to be working with people that are fragile in some way and you don't want to make them worse. I think that's very important. I've stressed that more than once on this
yes,
podcast and also when I teach, because you're working with people. You're not working
Yes.
writing computer programs. That'd be different if you're writing a computer program where you will write in a column or anything like that. But working one on one with people, there are certain skills that are necessary. But do you find that the majority of your clients, because if you set yourself up, which is what you are as an astrocartographer, the majority of the questions are going to center around where should I be living, or are there other types of things that people will ask you or want to know about?
I think a lot of people will come to me with a relocation in mind or wanting to relocate. The one thing that I'll say is I completely agree with you, Mary. I think I, I I don't always recommend relocation, which sounds like I'm gonna, not get a lot of clients when I say that, because that's pretty much what I do, is tell people, sort of where they could live and where they could thrive. But like some people will come like quite desperate to get themselves out of certain situations that they believe location is to play. Like, oh, I'm on a really bad Saturn line. And speaking as somebody that was born on a Saturn line, I can completely relate to that experience. But the chart moves with you, right? So
Yeah.
if we don't if we don't kind of work on what the underlying issue of what's currently happening in your lived experience wherever you are, relocating is not necessarily going to fix everything. It's not a
Absolutely.
band-aid, it's not a
Mhm.
miracle potion. Unfortunately, and again, also there might not always be an absolutely perfect place for you to be. And so, yeah, I do take that quite seriously in that I'm never going to say to you, oh, this is an awful place, you have to leave.
Mm.
Get on the first plane, evacuate, don't take any belongings, go,
Mm.
because I think that that's really reckless.
Mm.
And I do try and work with clients for over multiple sessions to get to the right place, because I don't think one reading is going to fix everything. You're like,
Mm.
oh, this is the bad line, this is the good line, and one reading is going to tell me all of that. So it's really important to me that yeah, you can be self-taught, and you can kind of meddle with these things, but when you're looking at other people's lives, I wouldn't. Relocation is very hard, and I've done it a
Mm.
few times to know that it's not easy to just restart your whole life in a new location. Just because a line is good doesn't mean, yeah,
Mm.
it's going to be a good life.
Yes, so I think that's the mistake to say, astrocartography tells you to move,
Yes,
or the other one, or astrology tells you to do something. It doesn't, it's a hand in hand thing. Because I do occasionally get asked by people, where's the best place for me to live? And I'll just send them and we'll do it in the session, in Astro, on that Astro location thing on astro.com. These are the good places, but where you are now is really, because then, like you say, we'll discuss what is it that you're moving to or moving from, because
yes,
sometimes people, and now I've got loads of clients I've done this with, they'll move from somewhere to somewhere completely different because of a situation or a person,
yes,
thinking that being geographically so far away from this situation, that situation now doesn't impact them. Well, yes, it does, because you take your brain and your thoughts with you wherever you go. So if you are in Australia and your parents in the UK and you're thinking about them all the time, the fact that you're zillions of miles away isn't going to stop that.
no,
Um, but that is the inverted commas. I mean, in my case, I moved to Bath because I got divorced and I
yes,
didn't want to live there anymore. And I also wanted to make a new start. And as I explained earlier, I wanted to get as far away as possible from those people that I wasn't going to be socializing with anymore. But making a big move like that with a small child isn't particularly easy. And if I wouldn't have done it, if I hadn't got the support local to where I was, I can't imagine what it must be like for people to relocate because of an incident or whatever, and not have anybody they can communicate with locally. Must be an absolute nightmare. But I don't think that's where the strength of astrocartography is. I think it's what you're talking about, is that you're finding where you are in the world, because there's nothing to say that you can't visit these wonderful places that you're
yes,
terribly compatible with, and sort of get a little boost to your psyche, and buff off you go. Because in some cases they could be like right in the middle of the sea.
yes,
You
yes,
can't live
yes.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, I mean, there's certain people will focus really heavily on remote activation. So, like reading, going to your local library and getting authors that are from that location, or cooking food that you really like. So, remote activating that energy by not getting on a plane. You're still embodying
Oh,
that.
that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. I do, because a friend of mine, we have a little reading group and we read a non-fiction book. And I always, as much as I can, try and look up the birth date of the person who wrote the book.
Oh, amazing.
Like, do I like them? What's their motivations? Are they compatible with me? I'm looking charts up all the time. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Can't do anything without looking up someone's chart. But I think it's a bit, that's interesting. I haven't heard of that. So where you where you're most compatible with is a place, you can fill your life up with the authors from that place. Oh,
Yes.
that I haven't heard. That's very interesting.
I have like a really nice like line in Japan, and like Japanese authors that have been translated to English. I absolutely adore those books. And yeah, so I mean, you could definitely, yeah, remote activation is the sort of term of it. But yeah,
Right.
you're basically, and you could put a screensaver of a pic of a place on your chart, like on your desktop. So you could
Hmm.
have that. Yeah. Follow people on Instagram, stalk them if you need
Hmm.
to.
Mm.
There's loads of different ways of, yeah, embodying that energy without necessarily getting on the plane. Because again, traveling is a luxury. Sometimes we can't also afford to visit to those faraway places.
Mm.
The local places are easy to get to, but the ones that are,
But some people don't travel at all. I was fascinated when my son was at school that there was a little boy in his class who lived locally, obviously, because he was in the class. And his mother, this little boy's mother, had never left Bath. She hadn't even been from one side of Bath to the other. And having moved a lot myself in my life and lived in various different other countries because my parents moved a lot, I was fascinated. Like, wow, I couldn't even imagine what it must be like to live one side of Bath the whole of her life. And I don't know, I just thought that was so sort of different. I didn't make a judgment on it because it could have been quite easy for me to say, well, you haven't been around the world, you don't know what it's like. Lovely lady, just didn't want to move, didn't have the need to because all
yeah,
her needs were met with
yeah,
where she was. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So, yeah, that's because people that travel a lot sort of assume that everybody else, but there's plenty of people that don't travel at all. They A, don't like it, B, don't want to, C, why would I type of thing. And this particular lady, so, oh, interesting. I never looked at her chart, so I don't know what it was. So I don't know why that might be. I don't know, maybe she's Taurus or something. I have no idea.
yeah. I was like, wait, what does she have in Cancer or Taurus? That's what I was thinking.
So just tell us a little quickly about how you felt when someone who should remain nameless decided to trademark the word astrocartography, which by the way doesn't belong to anybody. But just tell me what your experience of it was.
Well, I got inadvertently kind of looped into it because I had a personal relationship with her, and I considered us sort of work colleagues and friends offline, and we'd done several courses together, and then I found out that she had trademarked it behind my back and behind a few of us our backs. So I was completely shocked that somebody would try and own a term that all of us use so widely for herself, and without sort of telling us that she was planning on doing it. We had envisioned like sort of forming an association that was, for astrocartographers for Europe. And I really liked the idea of sort of building a community. We have loads of different astrological
Well, you are an
associations.
Aquarius. I mean, that if there's one word that really motivates an Aquarius is community.
Yes,
Mm.
yes, and I was, kind of thought it was all lining up because I'm having these solar eclipses kind of going into my 10th house. So I thought, oh yes, we're going to form a community, and it's going to be for the people, and it's going to be amazing. And now all of a sudden, I'm like advocating that, I never knew that she had intended on trademarking this, and I would have been completely against it. And once I
Mm.
found out, I removed myself from the situation. But she has not ever she's never replied. She's never
Mm.
said, sorry, or let me take you off that website, or anything like that. So I am kind of still involved in it, and against my wishes.
Mm.
Yeah, that I just hope that she's not sending out any more legal letters, and sort of has let go of the trademark in whichever way she can,
Mm.
just stop applying it. But
Yes, because the
it was,
Astrological Association, of which I am a member,
yes,
they've all had petitions and stuff, and there are other things that are happening in the background about it. It isn't something that can happen in the public eye, what other people might be doing about it, or if at
yes,
all. But I think the thing, because I have got Aquarius planets, I've got Venus and Mars in Aquarius. For me, I just thought, why would you do something that's going to affect your peers, your contemporaries, and your work colleagues? Why would you do that? Well, that was the question that I was asking about it. And I thought it was, I mean, the emotional reaction to it, I thought was a little bit over the top. There were rather a lot of videos of people going like that. And I was,
yes,
okay. But, yeah, the thing about it is that you can't trademark a term,
no,
like you couldn't sort of say that psychology as a word, psychological astrology or whatever.
yes,
You can't trademark that. So I sort of thought, well, and then it started. Then what happened? Apparently in America, other people were trying to trademark it as well. But Jim himself, going back to the day, he tried to and couldn't, and trademarked instead the word astro, star, cart, star, graphy. So that's what
yes.
he managed to trademark. And so I was sort of wondering, what was the astrology of that? What was going past your chart? So what, because for a personal thing for you, do you know what was going on? I know Pluto's going through Aquarius, but it's nowhere near your sun sign at the minute. But
No, no.
what sort
It,
of major transit did you identify for yourself at that point? How for you?
I think it might have been the start of my Uranus opposition.
Right.
I think it might have been that. But I have Neptune and Saturn in my 12th house. Um, so it's not yet a Saturn
Natally, you've got
opposition.
they were transiting through your, sorry, yes, yes,
Yes,
yes. So it's, of course, I was just one thing, but yes, you've got them transiting through your 12th, which hasn't
12th
got
house.
any planets in it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I think, because I originally was like, oh, is this the beginning of my Saturn opposition? But I think it was too wide. It's definitely not hitting yet.
yeah.
And I was like, Pluto was applying to my Sun. It's retrograde now, so maybe moving slightly away. But no, I think it was a Uranus opposition, and I have natally Uranus in my 8th house,
Mm.
so it's
Other
in my,
people's money and investments.
yes, yes, yeah, and
Mm,
business contracts and things like that. So yeah,
mm,
forming that association with her, I thought was really good, like was in alignment to what I'm trying to find was my people, what
mm,
we're all trying to find is sort of connection and community. And I liked the idea of, and I was going through a ninth house perfection, or am going through a ninth house perfection year. So I thought, oh, this is my thing, this is
mm.
what's going to happen. But yeah, it's really just kind of pushed me in terms of what my values are, what my worth is. And yeah, just being so yeah, it's against my very being of being so excluding
Yeah.
people
That
based
is
on
just not
attire.
Aquarius territory whatsoever.
Yeah,
I did see that yeah, I did watch your videos that you'd done of it at the time. So your explanation of your, where you were at with it. And I think what's important within all of this is that you're aware of yourself, so
yes,
how it is for you, rather than to be attacking the other side. So, what's going on for me? Because I think you've managed to navigate it beautifully.
yeah,
And I think it's important that we don't focus on that. We just focus on astrocartography because that's the important thing. Other people can jump off the edge of the cliff and do daft stuff. But if we give
yes,
too much energy, and this is a Uranus thing now, if we give too
yes.
much energy to the thing that's exploding, because this was, then it explodes even more,
I
so we've
know.
got to activate other parts. And with you having that Saturn and the descendant anyway, so you've got that sort of ability to be able to hold things together quite well.
Yes.
But I mean, that wasn't it very much a Neptune type of thing, though, that
Well,
it's
yeah, in the election chart, so the we created this association when Neptune and the Sun were conjunct. So I mean, yeah, that just
ah.
was really bad electoral chart. Like a really
Well,
bad.
that's how you learn. Then that's how you learn, and not to do that one again.
But I
Learn by your
remember we were
mistakes.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, because when we looked at it, there was three of us involved, and Anne, who was the third person in our association, she's very good at electional. She was like, Mercury was in a retrograde shadow. I think it just ended. I can't remember. There was a bunch of other things that we were like. She was like, "This is not a good chart. This is not a good chart," and I was like, kind of really hesitant about the. I'm trying to do this new thing where I
Hmm.
don't jump into stuff and overcommit and then go, oh, how do I get out of this?
Mm.
So I was really kind of conscious that like this, I knew this year was going to be busy for me with other personal things, and I was like, I don't have enough time and energy to sort of focus on this. I've got a young child, I'm trying to focus on those things as well. So I was it was just not a good chart. And I suppose two out of the three of us were kind of uncertain as to whether this was even going to go ahead. And then
Right.
look at us now. But what I will say is that if anyone is interested in this trademark, to stop going to the websites,
Mm.
because I am conscious that my thought is that the reason she's maintained these websites is to build traffic
Mm.
to those websites. And so if we fuel the fire, like you said, if we
Yes.
keep going and checking on the website, oh,
Mm.
Megan's name is still there, the image is still there,
Mm.
oh, she's still got, astrocartography trade. If we keep checking her personal websites, her astrocartography.fr, and the other website, which is the European Astrocartography Association, those build traffic for her and actually gives her a win. It helps show her that she's the top searched so I did have that thought that we should stop looking at the website, because it's
Yes,
just
and it
only.
is very tempting though when something happens to keep update. We've got to this stage now, which is the weirdness of the internet. It didn't exist when I was a little one because all we had was newspapers and the television. That you can supposedly watch something live happening, and so everybody will. And this is an internet thing. Everyone will go to where the most amount of energy is, and then comment
Yeah,
and there's this sort of live event of something that actually is quite like nobody would even be giving it the time of day. If you had to write a letter to someone, like we had to do back in the day, this would not be happening. Okay.
yeah,
You might write a letter and then this would happen, and then there might be an article in the newspaper so many days or so later, and then maybe people would write in, but it doesn't create, the internet creates this thing where we all think that we've got an opinion on something and we're all going to do it. But like you say, the way the internet is set up is that it's set up in a very negative way. So people love being cross on the internet. It's the biggest thing. They love it. And the internet is because then you go shopping. You're so worked up now. Oh, I better need to buy myself something. But in your chart, you've got Sun in the 10th, which is a very
yes,
responsible place for your sun sign to be. So I would have thought in your situation that would be like I would be questioning my values now. Like there's me going to do something, and now it's like eek, which I didn't want it to be. So
yeah,
I think it's lovely that you've been able to navigate back from that so successfully. So well
yeah.
done.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Well, I think being authentic and kind of realizing that I made a bad judgment call on a person,
Mm.
and entered into this association thinking that it was one thing, but not realizing the full picture. And then just kind of taking ownership on that. Yes, I did say yes to an association and overcommitted myself on that.
Mm.
And it has, the whole thing actually made me think about a lot of other things in terms of like, you know, who, what kind of community and who do you want to sort of align with, and
Mm.
who don't you want to align with. And yeah, I have, I don't want any cancel or troll or anything. I think she's done that to herself already.
Mm.
um but I think it's really important that we just kind of, yeah, focus on what we don't like about it, but then also like not personally attack her. I think that
Yeah,
would
yeah, because
be.
that's just a waste of energies. But going back to the community thing, what we have to also remember is that community is a very big, expansive word. So don't forget, I've got two Aquarius sisters. The younger one lives literally in a house of community. So they're all women. She's gay. The whole house, they're not all gay everywhere, but she's gay. The house is only women that are ever allowed to live there. And she's lived there for so long because she's an Aquarius, she's never moved. Which is funny. But she has created within the home that she lives this funny little sort of like women community for women. There's
Beautiful.
no badges outside, and it was only when I went to a funeral of another resident, if we call them that I realised so many of the previous residents that lived there had all come together. So my sister had inadvertently created this non-conscious community just because that's the way that she is. But I do
Yes.
think communities online are a totally different thing altogether. Um, I think it's important that every now and again, even though you can get astrology online and stuff, and you can get everything online, I think it's really important to make, physical contact with
Yes.
people. And I think
Yes.
if that's kept up, then there's less likely for these types of things to backfire. Because you know what it's like when you're in the room with someone, you've got Moon in Pisces, you're going to be able to do this. And you've got Moon in the 11th, which is all about your community as well. But you've got Moon in Pisces, you're going to pick up from someone if they're not going to align with who you are and all the rest of it.
Yes.
So yeah, make a little group locally to where you are, and then we'll have
I
all come
think
round your
that's
house. Yeah.
Yes, yes, I think that's true. And yeah, where we've actually relocated. We moved and bought a house at the beginning of this year, and that has actually been one of my goals. Is that like this community that we're now in, they host a lot of like sort of in-person little workshops and events, and I've been
Mm.
kind of thinking that's actually where I should go. Is instead of focusing on this like technology, AI. I'm actually like as an Aquarius, I absolutely detest
Yeah,
AI.
don't worry. Lots of people do.
And yeah, like everyone says, "Oh, do you like AI?" No, I hate it. I like
Mm.
use your brain. That's what it's
Mm.
there for. Like, don't. Yeah, stop checking on AI for things. So yeah, I think yeah, back taking it back to community in
Yes.
person is definitely the first step.
And
Definitely.
also, I say communities is very much a modern word. Okay, so it wasn't around when I was little. But I think you can't create a community. I think communities just sort of happen, either because of geography, because you're living near to somebody or not, or shared interests, or work together type of thing. That's the sort of natural environment. When a community is tried to be sort of like created, like these lovely ideas that you might have had about whatever it was you were doing, that to my mind that's a little bit less real. Yeah. um but the shared interest, obviously, so do the astrocartography stuff as well. But I think it's really important, and because during the pandemic we could not meet people physically, and obviously
Yes.
Zoom took off as a thing, but I thought it was awful how people couldn't get married, go to funerals, whatever, all of that thing. The physical thing is really, really important. And I work online all day. People can come to the house to have reasons if they want to. But I think really to be able to physically meet up with people is so, so important.
Yeah, definitely.
And unfortunately, this is a podcast and this is a video, so you're not going to meet us. But hey, we're real people, so you can have consultation. So tell me, Meg, so what's your website address so that we can send everybody over there?
So I'm called the Expat Astrologer. So you can find me on theexpatastrologer.com.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm on Instagram, the Expat Astrologer, and I was briefly on TikTok. I'm not on there very much.
Don't blame you.
Yeah, and I'm on YouTube, but I also don't post very much. On there, I'm kind of going through a version as to what kind of what platform I most am on. I think Instagram is probably it. And yeah, I rely heavily on sort of meeting clients and word of mouth. So I absolutely hate sales and pitch and please book
Yeah,
a
don't
reading.
do it though. It doesn't work. I mean, I've done this job for 30 something years. I'll give you a little tip of advice. It doesn't matter how much publicity you put out there, you build your practice by your clients.
Yes.
So if you are successful and happy and kind, and your client is happy with the whatever service it is you've offered them, they are the most valuable people in your world as an astrologer. So they're the ones that you need to concentrate on. Everybody thinks you need to have lots of clients, but you don't. I think I've read for something like 6,000 people since I started. But obviously,
Wow.
lots of people will come back. But I think it's important when you first start, it's those first few clients that you see, you give them super wonderful service, and then they'll tell their friends because it's
Yes,
always word of mouth or recommendation that sets you up in what you do.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I hear what people say about, you've got to have this account and that account. Actually, I think it makes a blind bit of difference.
No.
People don't respond so much to that. It's not like they're buying a handbag. They're having a consultation with someone, and that isn't how you find an astrocartographer. You might Google one, or you'll ask your friend, or your friend has been to see someone like happened to you right at the beginning. How
Mm.
did you hear about that person that read for you?
Yeah, literally a friend told me about it, and yeah,
There you go.
and that's sort of like, yeah, introduction online. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I much prefer that, and I think it's like an organic. I do feel like people naturally will come to my website or come to my Instagram, and they'll see me and think, oh, I relate to that person and I'm interested in hearing more, or I don't, and that's okay too, Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So
yeah,
thank you very much, Meg, for joining us today and telling us about astrocartography. It's been fascinating. Thank you very
amazing,
much for being here. And all the information will be on the show notes so that
thank
people will be able to click and find you.
amazing.
See you then. Bye bye
Thank you.
now.
Bye.